Am I the asshole for only buying my parents' stuff that cannot be shared or taken while my brother and his family live with us? My brother, 32, has been knocking up his wife, 32, since they were in high school. Their oldest is now 13, but they have 3 more. She is a stay-at-home mom, and he works as cleaning staff at a FIFO camp. It's pretty good money, but they waste a lot of it. They have multiple gaming systems, and the 2 oldest kids have very new iPhones. I, 28, live in the loft above my parents' garage. I do not pay rent because my folks want me to save up for my future. I help out around the house, and I buy groceries for my parents as well as myself. My brother and his family live in the in-law suite in my parents' basement. It was supposed to be a rental to get them some extra money for when they retire. But after my brother lost his job because he would not get vaccinated, our folks let them move in. I also love to buy them gifts, but my brother and his family always needed exactly what I happened to give them. For example, I brought my mom a very colorful bag from Colombia called a mochila. It is just a woven cotton shoulder bag made with very vibrantly colored yarn. My niece, 9, saw it and wanted to use it for a project at school, where she promptly lost it. I got my father a bottle of Van Winkler bourbon since he loves to have a drink after a long day. My brother and his wife found it and drank it mixed with orange juice because it was so strong tasting. So now I do other stuff. I took my mom to go see Anastasia, and I got us really good seats. No one else was invited. I took my dad out for a steak dinner and then to a speakeasy in our city and treated him to a $160 cocktail. These are things my parents love doing but won't waste money on. I keep the groceries I buy in my loft. I will make meals for my parents and have them over, or I will bring the ingredients and cook with my dad. My brother started asking why I don't leave the groceries in the freezer, fridge, or pantry that they have access to, and why I stopped buying my parents gifts. He says that I'm living there for free and I should give them more. I asked him how much he was paying them in rent or how he was contributing to the household, and he said he was tired on the weeks he was home and that his wife and kids were too busy to help. I work a full-time job, I volunteer at a cat rescue, I do theater sports as a hobby, and I still manage to help with yard work, housework, errands, and helping with my grandmother who is in a locked-in facility for dementia patients. I pointed this out and he said I was being a little bitch. I said I wasn't stupid enough to leave anything around that he or his family could steal. Now we are fighting, and my parents are upset. His wife called me an asshole for not sharing the treats I buy for my parents. I can afford to buy treats for my parents and myself, but not for 5 more people who do not contribute. Not the asshole. That is actually clever. I'd keep that up. Sporting events, movies, more dinners, shows, and any kind of experience, rather than effects that can be stolen. As for your paying rent or not, that is between your parents and you. None of your mooching, stealing brother's business. You could always tell him a porky pie, and he wouldn't be any the wiser, whether you were paying $1 or $5,000. And of course, you should not be buying treats for your brother's family. That is his duty. In the long run, I don't think you will be happy in that house as long as your brother is there. What you have to figure out is which one of you will move out. I find it ridiculous that a man who can father half a football team has had to move in with his parents. He should actually be made to keep it wrapped up. It's also spending quality time with them rather than just buying a gift, which is easy to do. Not the asshole. You did give physical gifts, and your brother and his family have used them instead of the intended recipients. You might not pay rent in money, but you do contribute to the household in that you help with chores and other things. The whole "I do not pay rent due to my parents wanting me to save up for my future" very much gives off "I offered at least once or twice but no, and here's why" energy. Your parents should be the ones dealing with your brother, sister-in-law, and their kids, because it's going to get worse before it gets better. I know that my mom and stepdad would kick me out if I was behaving like your brother and sister-in-law are behaving. I'm sure parents have been heavily guilted about putting the grandkids out on the street and how they'll be homeless. Not the asshole. It's obvious that they are aware you are still treating your parents. 1. Unless you abduct your parents, then swear them to secrecy afterwards. It must be known within the household where mom-dad are, or have been from mom-dad talking about it. 2. This. His wife called me an asshole for not sharing the treats I buy for my parents. Why would she be upset at all about not sharing those things if she wasn't aware you were still gifting them? 100% they both noticed the change, and 100% they are resentful. They are no longer able to share your gifts. Both are clearly entitled and need to grow up. Tell them to stop criticizing you for wanting to repay your parents' kindness and stop feeling entitled to your money/gifts when they haven't done a thing to earn them. Yeah, I would say it's sweet but stupid to ask this kind of question. But I don't understand. The gifts are for my parents. Why should they be shared? My brother started asking why I don't leave the groceries in the freezer, fridge, or pantry that they have access to. Translation: why aren't you making it easier for us to mooch off you? Not the asshole. Bro and his wife are. Don't worry about what they think and avoid them as much as possible. Now we are fighting, and my parents are upset. To be frank, your parents should be upset that their son is an anti-vaxxer idiot who can't support his 4 children, and they should be upset at how casually and frequently he exploits them. But since they're probably focusing on the lack of peace around the house and want you two to stop fighting, so stop. He wants to make little comments, just ignore them and say something wholly unrelated in response. He wants to try texting things, block his number. Same goes for his unemployed wife. She has nothing of value to say, so stop pretending she does by addressing her comments as if they deserve to be acknowledged. Not the asshole. This situation is definitely frustrating and unfair for the person who wrote this post. It's interesting to hear how the writer is trying to be thoughtful and considerate in their gift giving, but their brother and his family are taking advantage and not showing gratitude. I can definitely understand why they are upset and feeling unappreciated. Wow, this is quite the situation. It's so unfair that the writer's brother and his family are taking advantage of them like that. It's really commendable how the writer is trying to be considerate and thoughtful in their gift-giving and quality time spent with their parents. They're clearly going above and beyond to show their love and appreciation for their parents. And it is disappointing that their brother and his family are not reciprocating or respecting their boundaries. How do you think the situation could be resolved? What would you do if you were in the writer's shoes? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. Am I the asshole for refusing to share my vacation home with my in-laws for 6 months after they sold their house without consulting me? Am I the asshole for refusing to share my vacation home with my in-laws for 6 months after they sold their house without consulting me? Background: my husband, 35 male, and I, 33 female, have been married for 5 years. We own a beautiful vacation home on the beach that we built ourselves and use throughout the year. My in-laws, 60s, have always been welcome guests, visiting for a few weeks here and there and contributing financially towards maintenance costs. Last month, my in-laws suddenly announced they were selling their house to downsize and move into a tiny condo. Apparently, they've been secretly harboring this idea for months, never mentioning it to me or my husband. They plan to close on the sale in 2 weeks and then move into our vacation home for 6 months while they figure things out. I was floored. This house is our sanctuary, not a retirement home extension. We use it frequently, have friends and family booked to visit throughout the year, and rely on the income it generates during peak season. My in-laws, on the other hand, haven't lifted a finger on the property themselves and contributed only minimally. My husband, bless his sweet heart, is more understanding. He feels bad for his parents and believes we can make it work. His in-laws, sensing my resistance, are now guilt-tripping us, claiming they have nowhere else to go and offering to pay significantly more than their usual contribution. Am I the asshole for refusing to let them move in? On one hand, I feel obligated to help family in need, but on the other, this feels like an outrageous imposition on our personal space and finances. Not the asshole. It is outrageous. You'd be well within your right to say no. But I'm curious, how is your relationship with them otherwise? How is your husband's relationship with them? What other options do they have? Again, you have every right to say no, and it would not make you the AH. But is it worth the damage it could do? In other words, are you okay with whatever fallout occurs? If you end up deciding to let them stay, I would be very clear about how upset and disrespected you feel, and that if they ever pull anything like that again, you are going to have major problems. My relationship with them is strained because this is not the first time they have grossly overstepped. This has led to many a fight between my husband and me. My husband sees no wrong in their behavior and thinks we should just help them. Every time they're at the vacation home, they've commented on how much they love it and would love to live in a place like this at retirement. So I feel this was a very intentional move on their part. Not letting them stay will create conflict in my marriage, but I'm pretty positive that they will never leave if we let them move in. No, not the asshole. Do not do this. Don't fall for the because family needs it beasts. This isn't a family in need of your space. This is running a con to get into your space. They can find plenty of spaces. Hell, take a cruise for 6 months. If they need help, you can help them find a temporary space for 6 months. In fact, why not meet them with a list of a few places they can look at? I know they won't look, but it sends the right message. They just showed you who they are. They are sneaky, manipulative, only care about what they want, and are willing to try and guilt trip you to give it to them. Nothing in this says they are loving and want what is best for you. What do they even mean? Figure things out. It sounds like they don't have a plan and are just expecting to move in and stay forever. Once they have established residency, you can't just evict them. You need to go through a process. Since your husband can't say no now, do you really expect he will be able to say no later? There's no upside for you in this. There's only grief and pain. I wouldn't do this at all, but if forced to, I would have them on a lease. That way you can evict them once it ends. If they get in there without a set end date, it will go much worse for you. I am sorry, your husband doesn't understand that his parents are using you both. Good luck. Honestly, if it was me and my spouse wasn't okay with it, and I worked 80 to 120-hour weeks as a nurse during COVID to pay for it, I'd honestly threaten divorce. Hell, I'd probably go through with it. If the spouse lets them in, that's irreconcilable. Once they're there for a month, it's their permanent residence, and you will have to evict them if they don't want to leave. No way. They should have had things figured out before they sold their house. How do you know if they even plan on moving out? Where is their furniture going? This would be a marriage-ending decision for me. It's getting there for us. My suspicion is that this was their plan all along, and they'll never leave once in the house. Not the asshole. Believe me, if they set one foot into this house, they will never leave it. Then family helps each other. Not the asshole. He should have run this by you first. Info. How much rental income are you losing? And are they willing to offset that? Obviously, losing the time to hang out and relax there is hard to put a monetary value on. Might be a lost cause on that one. Last year, during the peak season, we cleared about $30,000, with about $45,000 for the whole year income after expenses. For our family of 5, this covers a lot of yearly expenses and the full mortgage of the home. The goal of this vacation home is to eventually generate enough profit to cover both mortgages so we can get a third rental. This will be impossible without the rental income, and they will not be able to afford the peak prices on a fixed income. They have already told my husband they will not be paying rent during this 6 months. This situation is really intense and seems like a difficult decision to make. Your in-laws selling their house without consulting you and then planning to move into your vacation home for 6 months sounds outrageous. It's clear that this vacation home means a lot to you and your family, not only as a personal space, but also as a source of income. The fact that your in-laws haven't contributed much to the property makes the situation even more frustrating. It's understandable that you feel conflicted about helping family in need while also needing to protect your personal space and finances. How are you and your husband navigating this conflict? It sounds like this has caused some strain in your marriage. Have you and your husband had any discussions about potential compromises or other solutions for helping your in-laws without them moving into your vacation home? Well, that's another episode of Am I the Asshole in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.